to the Women's Show. I am Chiatunga Rebecca Juna, your host, the initiator of the Young Women's Space, and we still get to talk about the budgets. Budgets are central to the development process of Uganda because they are critical in ensuring allocation of resources and the socio-economic development of Uganda. Today, I host the formidable ladies, Pereth from ONET, Sakisa from Dawana Initiative, Akachkunda, part of the Civil Society Budget Advocacy Group, and Nakato, Lydia from the Uganda Women Network, which is ONET. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
How is the budget treating you? Have you paid your taxes?
So far, no money yet.
So far, no money. Have you all paid your taxes? You are a hitter target, so I hope you paid your taxes.
We are part of.
You pay taxes?
Yeah, every day.
Every
There's
day.
indirect taxes and whatnot.
Yeah. So as women and as young women, the taxes that affect us are based on the expenditures that we have on the little things that we spend on. But going back to the Uganda budget, the budget that was read sometime by Honorable Minister Kasaija, what did you think about it? Start with you, Perry.
All right, thank you. What I can say about the budget is that one of the things I realized is it has increased from about 48 trillion to 52.7 trillion. And what we are most importantly interested in is where is the increase and where is the cut, and how are women being affected or benefiting. Is where the increase benefiting the women. And when you look at the analysis, you realize that about 66% has been allocated to wages and non-wages. Is it so important for our women? No. Our health budget has been cut, which is so critical for everybody because accessing quality health services is so key and priority to everybody. And so it was cut. It's even below the 15% of the Abuja Declaration. We are not meeting the international laws that have been put up. So to me, I feel we are rotating around. The money is there, but we don't know where it is. And for the local woman who is out there, she doesn't even know what is happening. She doesn't even care. For them, their only agenda is every day I wake up, I go to the garden, I get my banana, matoke, I cook, I eat, and that is it. That's the whole business at all. But then when you come here in Kampala or in the urban settings, it's where we really face many challenges that need to be looked at every time we are doing a budget cycle. Yeah, so to me, generally, it's the same thing. And it is more disheartening that the health budget was cut. Yeah, and yet there are so many issues.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Most of the funding that we get to see, we see that the president invested in peace and security. We see that money was invested in construction of roads. As a woman, how does that impact you, especially as a young woman?
Thank you. When you look at actually Ugandan's budget, it is somehow complicated to analyze how a woman or a youth is benefiting. They will tell you women are benefiting through the government programs, say in yoga, parish development model, where they're allocated 30%. But when you go down actually there, the data is not there. The infrastructure, the roads that they are putting in, if you look at locally, the country, roads are bad. Kampala here, the potholes are like potholes. They passed a budget of 6 billion and a report before they read the budget. KCCA said they've renovated 70% of the potholes, but go outside there. So they tell us they have allocated money towards infrastructure, roads. But even if you go up country, the roads are bad. Women are delivering alongside the road. Bridges are broken.
Exactly.
People cannot access health centers. Schools, students cannot go. So for me, if I really look at the budget, it is not really addressing the needs of the people in our country. Yeah, thank you.
Helena, what would you have wanted to see in the budget in regards to the education sector for young women?
Uh, sorry, thank you so much. And for me, when I saw or I read through the budget seal, I realized that the government, had not looked into first the gender responsiveness. What do I mean by gender responsiveness? Creation and accessibility of equitable resources and services to both men and women. It is so disheartening that even when the government says we have allocated this amount of money for this, it's still disheartening that they said they have allocated money for human capital development, and the human capital development includes health, education, and sanitation and water. But we have not questioned ourselves if this budget was for the citizens' beneficiary. Are the citizens the beneficiaries of it? And how are they the beneficiaries of it? Going back to the education part of it, you'll see that they have said capital development has been allocated this sum of money. But unfortunately, very many girls, especially those that are in rural areas, even same to the urban areas, they are high living standards because the taxes are increasing every day and every day. Parents are living in a time of uncertainty, financial uncertainty. So it's just very important that we as young women draw a line and see how better can we also be have consultative meetings maybe before the budget is passed. Why don't we have at the parliament, the women caucus, come up and say, before the budget is passed, we would want to have conversations with women, the semi-urban, the market women, the rural girls, to see what are their needs. Even we talk to the youth and see what their needs are. Because at the end of the day, I do not think this budget that was formulated is for the citizens to benefit, but instead it's for the government. Because you see it has talked about full economic monetization. It has talked about digital transformation. But I want us to be so sincere and look into the statistics where you've seen that very many girls even are still struggling to fit into the digital space. We are still lagging behind due to the fact that the government is saying it is rooting for digital transformation. But how many girls are in STEM? And have we analyzed the gender disparity in technology? Have we analyzed the consequences these girls are facing who are in these science, technology subjects? And how does the government look forward to come up with amicable solutions for these girls to access their education? Because even when the government says education, you look that very many girls are still dropping out of school compared to the number of boys. And it's not that the girls want to, but because we recently had very many sagas happening before the budget. For example, there are taxes on pads. And can you imagine that even both a rural and an urban girl may not have the access to school because she can't afford the pads?
Thank you so much, Helena. And it's from that discussion that you've just said that I'll ask you, Joan. Do you believe that the tax on pads and diapers whereas it's contributing to resource revenue collection, that it will increase economic injustice against women. Thank you so much. It is so obvious that taxing pads is of more harm than good. I mean, if you tax a girl and then she drops out of school because she cannot afford pads, you're not helping her, because this young generation is the future. It is the future of tomorrow. It is the future of our country. So now if they drop out now, we do not have a future. We are only looking at today. And now we have so many girls, based on statistics, who are dropping out because they cannot afford pads, and because if they stay in school, they will get humiliated, they will be embarrassed, they will be discriminated, and that is reason enough to drop out. So surely I do not agree with the fact that pads should be taxed. There are so many ways in which government can get money without taxing pads, because the girl child education is very key. Okay, but you see that the thing that was in parliament is that the women were at the forefront of saying it's okay. If the people that we sent to parliament to represent us as women are misrepresenting us in terms of our needs and what we have spoken that we need, what should citizens, because now we come to citizen action in budget and in advocacy, do to resolve this? Because we are going to, this next financial year that we're going in, we're going to have to pay that because it has been passed. What should citizens do in regard to that, especially for women that are within the menstrual age bracket? Now, if the people we have sent to parliament are misrepresenting us, to begin with, you cannot blame a rural woman in the rural area where there is no electricity, where they cannot go digital, they cannot access social media. They do not even know that they're being misrepresented. Yeah. They do not even have an idea. So if government was helping, it would invest more in community awareness and mobilization to get these people be aware of what is happening. For example, before they pass the budget, they have to, sensitize the people and inform them on what they intend to. Like my colleagues have said, that you need to know the problems these people are facing. Let them tell you where they need the money. But you're doing things on their behalf. So they'll not even definitely know that someone is, misrepresenting them. I believe that government should invest more in community mobilization and go to the grassroots before they come out to read the budget and find out the gaps in there. What do these women need? How can we help them? Inclusivity. How can we make them inclusive of this budget? They may not even know that in June, we always read the budget. Very few will know that. So they will not even know the problems they are facing. It is now us to come out and speak out for them, and of which we cannot exhaust what they need. Okay, thank you so much, Joan. I'll come back to you, Perry. Do you believe that this budget was a people-centered budget?
Thank you for that question. Because the budget process starts in September. Okay, it starts after the budget has been read. Yeah. But then practically, I think it starts in September, where the Ministry of Finance issues out the first budget call circular to all the local governments to ensure that they read, they know what it is all about. And then as the process goes on, they also input. They also provide that input from the locals. For example, now for us at ONET, we really engage councillors to participate in these budget processes. Not even councillors alone. Usually our target group, we encourage them to participate in these budget processes at the districts. But then the question of whether it is people-based really, they may have consulted, but not nationwide, and not everybody engages in those processes. They are not consulted. And why I would say it is not is because their budget allocations are really not gender sensitive, like what my colleague has already said. Maybe to give an example, under the digital transformation budget, it's about, is it about 900 billion? Sorry. It's about 192 billion. And on this budget, they intend to provide free Wi-Fi to schools, markets, health centers. Can you imagine? And then remember our local woman here, one, she's illiterate.
Yeah, very true.
Two, she doesn't have a smartphone. Even the one who has a smartphone, access to internet is a problem.
Yeah.
Before I came to this show, I first called one of my friends who used to sit at Wandegea Market. There I used to be free Wi-Fi, by the way. Called my Uganda internet.
Yeah.
Yes, and then I've been told it was sold out. Now there is Rocktom, something like that. But then my Uganda internet was there for about like 1-2 years, and then it was sold out to people, to someone who wanted to buy it, to invest in it. Yes. So I believe their interventions, one, they are not thought through. Two, I am looking forward to seeing that free internet in one of the hospitals. Anyway, in one of the schools. Yes, because we know we are going digital. Everybody needs, we are learning on phones. We are doing business on phones. Everything is becoming on internet. But then the reality of providing Wi-Fi to the border markets, I see they're going to put at Elegu, they're going to put at Busia, and then free Wi-Fi in the schools and markets. I don't find it feasible because one, they have no funds, two, they're illiterate. So I don't feel it's people-based.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
one
you.
of the examples I really gave.
Thank you so much, Kurt.
Yeah.
And you talked about digital transformation, and I'll come back to you, Omlongo Nakato. As we talk about digital transformation, and do you believe that this budget spoke to the issue of cybersecurity and data protection? Because we are going to use whatever free Wi-Fi the government will provide. But is it protecting people's data? You know, those repercussions that come with us having access to Wi-Fi, us, you know, going on these apps that we have on our phones. You know, we'll have, if you're talking about people at the border, we'll have, you know, those apps for selling goods and services for women. Do you believe that this budget is going to address the issue of cybersecurity, one, and data protection, especially if you're using these apps, because we want to go to digital transformation for access to markets?
Okay,
What are
thank
your
you.
views?
Yeah, it is really a hard one, but I welcome it. Yeah, but when you look at actually this 2023-2024 budget, it may not entail the whole process of covering the data protection, cyber. Actually, if you really look at it, it is just the widening up the internet coverage. They're not mainly focusing on the data protection or cyber. But what I believe, as we are working on the NDP3 plan, next year, next financial year, 2024-2025, it might be covered under that.
Next year. You might cover it next year. So
It
what
is not-
happens to the women that are
Many-
going to start accessing this Wi-Fi and also these apps, and their data is, you know, preyed on? We know those people that, you know, you put apps and the next thing your money is getting off your accounts. So have we planned for this as a country, or have we just said, okay, we'll give you digital transformation in terms of Wi-Fi, but where is the realistic bit?
Government of Uganda, actually, we are going into digital, but even itself, they don't know how the system works. I'll give you an example. Public Service Commission, or they always advertise and encourage people to apply online. But every time you apply, you have to upload your documents. If the system is well protected and saves the data, it doesn't need me to apply twice a year and my documents are not storage. So with that only, it predicts out that yes, we are going to the system, but we haven't studied it well, how it will affect the people. Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. You talked about the NDP3, and I'm going to come to you, Helen. We have the midterm review for the NDP3. apparently we performed at 17%. You know, Mwalimu Ramadan Govi of Ministry of Finance would say we have gotten an F9
Yeah.
in that area. Does this budget really address the indicators of the NDP3?
I don't think so.
Because we're at 17%, we're at F9 and we're in midterm review.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do not think so. Why? Because first, I will first still talk about the community participatory approach. For very many times, government has come up with good programs, initiatives, and all drive into bringing up development, sustainable development. But the surprising part of it is very many Ugandans are still ignorant about the NDP3. And many are still not buying the idea or the pillars or the indicators or the activities that consist in the NDP3. So it is time for the government to look into these issues and take the mantle upon themselves to see how effective they can implement such programs. Because for very many times you see, we have brought the NDP3, we have brought the parish development model, but where have these programs reached? For example, for the parish development model, we are seeing very many parish chiefs eating the money.
Yeah.
They are eating the money. The citizens themselves in the communities do not know even the pillars that the parish model is, consisting. Third, the community themselves, even some of them do not know that, we are entitled to this money for our personal development. So it is just important that even we as citizens and together with the government, we take into this budget process, the NDP3, the DPM, that these are the initiatives for our personal development, for our nation's development. Because at the end of the day, when these things do not perform, they still affect our lives.
Yeah, sure.
Still, the circle of poverty looms around us. So it is very important. I think one thing government should really do is look into the issue of community participatory approach.
Okay.
Because we are really lacking in that.
Thank you so much, Helena. I'll come back to you, Joan. You know, the budget is also a political document for in the government, the current government. And we saw during the NRM elections, heaven and earth was promised to the women. Do you want to highlight on if this budget is speaking to the NRM manifesto itself, especially in regards to women empowerment? Because when we say economic empowerment of women, are women really empowered by the NRM? Thank you so much. When it comes to the political bit of it and the manifesto, first of all, I'll applaud government. It has tried to, should I call it pleasing the women? We are the majority, so we have the votes. Okay, government has done its best. Now the problem is on implementation and evaluation. When it comes to that, I'll be like Ngovi and say it's an F9 because government will come up and say, yes, I'm giving you a myoga, and the myoga there. PDM, 30%, it is for the women. I mean, it is written speech. It is a red budget, but when it zeroes down to implementation, oh my God, it is alarming. Who is implementing? Who is following up on the implementation? Because you will find that now money comes through the circle. Who knows about the circle? Does this woman, the grassroots woman that is supposed to benefit, does she even know the process of, registering, being part of that circle? Because it is a procedure. I took time and read the PDM guidelines, I looked at the process of registration and I even laughed. I'm like, is government dreaming or something? It is a long process. And this woman you're talking about has no idea of how to get into the process. And now the people responsible at the local government, they'll also pick out a few individuals of how do we benefit. You know, they'll look out for, sometimes, I'm sorry, they'll look out for relatives, because this is the chairperson who is responsible, the parish chief. The parish chief will hold a family meeting and will tell the siblings and, you know, the nephews and nieces, and they're like, you come and register. What we need is a group. So you just write your names. How many are you? We need 30 people. Make sure you're 30. Come and make a line for this money. And now the actual person that is supposed to benefit is out there not benefiting. Now, who should we blame? Because yes, government has allocated the money. It has, you know, given out the money. But now the problem is on implementation. No one is following up to make sure that this grassroots woman is actually receiving that money. And even if she has received, we have cases of gender-based violence.
Yeah.
That is something we cannot rule out.
Yeah.
You are going to be given this money. I can give an example of my home village. You know, you look at these people. There was a time when they used to give them cows. You give this woman a cow, the husband comes back the next morning and is already selling the cow. Who is following up to make sure that this woman is actually benefiting from this cow? Is she milking the cow because the husband is going to sell it the next morning and go drink alcohol?
Yes, yes.
And she has to stay quiet to keep peace in this family. We have the laws. The laws are not being implemented. Women are beaten every day. You know, she cannot speak out to protect her cow. So even if you give her this PDM money, the husband can easily say, bring the money. He will say, I'm the head of the family. It's me to spend.
Yeah, yeah.
At the end of the day, she is not benefiting at all, even if government has done its part. Because when you look at the budget, practically the PDM has been given much more money than it was given. Isn't it 1.1 trillion?
Yes, please.
That is some good money. But now, how is this woman going to benefit?
Yeah.
We have cases of gender-based violence. She's going to be physically domesticated and beaten.
Also sexual harassment.
Sexual harassment, you know. She has to protect her image. She has to protect her children. She has to protect her family. So some things will go sidelined and government will not follow up.
Yeah.
How can I help her to that level of making sure that she has received the money and she has used the money profitably?
Yeah, effectively.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Joanne. And you've talked about that issue. And for me, I do believe that we pride ourselves in saying that the government of Uganda has, you know, especially the NRM government, has empowered women. But then we have a problem around how women have been the biggest people at the biggest percentage that is still left within the economic injustice bracket. You look at a woman, for example, let's look at a woman that has maybe a shop. You come and borrow things for 50K. When you bring back the 50K without a percentage. But remember, she has also gone to the retailer and borrowed that 50K. So she's going to get that 50K that you've given her and give it to the retailer. What has she retained in her business? Nothing. Let's look at women getting money from and loans from banks and their circles. The aspect of she has gotten the money, she has brought it home, and these men, they start saying, you first give me, I wash it, ko, I will bring it back. Then they don't bring back the money. When they don't bring back the money, you remember the banks and police, for them, they don't want to know that whole story. Exactly. She has not put it back into her business. But then the guy is also not coming forth to say, okay, here is your money. He has not even used it for the right reason. He has maybe married a second wife or used it to play his games, football things. In the long run, this woman is forced to sell her land to pay back that loan.
That is if she has.
That's if she has. Or
That's
else get humiliated. Lastly, the circles. You find that women's circles are not operating. They're just collecting money, then borrow. There's those nigina things. You have to save every month.
Huh?
Mm-hmm.
You're saving every month or even weekly. But she's borrowing from somewhere to save because there is a fine. It is coming.
Yeah.
Then she again borrows from the circle to pay the other debt. You get it? At household level, some of these women are not allowed to work by the guys, but on top of that, the men are not providing for them. Thank you. The men are not providing. Because this is systematic economic injustice. Then she goes to church and then the pastor is telling her, you tell your husband to give you money, to bring as that 10th tithe, a 10th of your. So she's going back to the man to get money. Not teaching them that you have to be economically empowered so that you bring for me katai and also the man brings katai. And when mothers have, the children automatically will have.
Yeah.
When daddy has, it's first wait, we have to buy new land and new car. And when mommy has, it's the children also have to tithe to thank the Lord. And women are left in this viscous cycle of faith as a virtuous woman. I don't know what is virtuous about poverty. And when you get to see this budget, you don't even get to see that, yes, there is mindset change, but the targets women.
But even this time around, it is scrapped off.
To
It is
target
not
a woman
applied.
that when you get that money, but where is she going to take the money when she's sleeping in the man's home? And you said single mothers are bad women.
Yeah.
You get to see systematic patriarchy and its effect on women. And I'll come back to you, Earth. What can the government of Uganda do through mindset change? Protect the women, that is one, against economic injustice, but also get the women out of poverty. Because you see our circles. Men's circles are investing. Ours, we are borrowing each and then sitting to gossip with each other. Yes, what can the government of Uganda, through mindset change, put for us as women in the next financial budget so that we find a way of advocating and lobbying and fixing ourselves there?
All right, thank you for the question. I think one of the pointers is that we need to have programs specifically for women. I may not have a clear understanding on how UWEP performed, but as far as Emyoga is concerned, women are telling us that this money, because it is not meant for only women, men are taking it away from us. We have a circle. There is a group of people in Kadere market that were empowered and they were able to access Emyoga funds. And one of their problems is that debtors are becoming debtors. And who are these debtors? Men. They come, borrow money, and go, never come back. And remember, this money it's a revolving fund. It's supposed to take, bring back, someone also takes, bring back like that. But also it is little money. They can only borrow like 200,000. So what kind of a business is that can be, that you can inject 200 in? Perhaps you're selling onions on the roadside. Perhaps you're selling tomatoes. So for me, one of my key recommendation is that they need to give us a fund specifically for women, because women, for us, we trust each other. We have trust issues, by the way.
Yes.
1, 2, we fear debts. You can never borrow money and you never pay it back. Perhaps why we fear debts is because we don't even have collateral. So for you to go and get a loan, you must have something to show. I have a fridge, I have a piece of land, give me this kind of money. Yeah, so we fear all that, and that's why we are so well behaved, we are so well trusted. So Emyoga funds, people, yes, they are progressing with it, but they already have such issues of debtors. Secondly, she talked about these parish people giving their families, I don't know who. Perhaps remember, the people you're giving out this money, they don't even have a business. So what are you giving them the money to do for, Are they supposed to inject it somewhere? So that guideline should be clear. They should say whoever is going to receive this money should have a business to show what are you going to use the money for. You cannot just carry money and go and take it to your house and start eating well. Because that's why we see we have so many defaulters. This money is not coming back, by the way. A little of it is coming back. Yeah. So can you also have set clear guidelines for who is supposed to receive money and who is going to monitor this person? You know, because then we are going to avoid the giving money to my sister, to my neighbor, you know, my favorites, you know, yeah. So then second, another thing maybe is to empower women economically. That is it. And the government has done work on skilling youth. Either in Nigeria, there usually a pastor, there's a signpost, and they're skilling youth, I think, in this machinery work. Welding. Yeah, it is there. I usually pass by and I see. But then how many women are being given such opportunities? When you look at PDM, they say 30% women, and then 15% youth, and then 10% elderly. So my question here is this 30% for only women? So if you're a woman and you're part of the elderly, do you cross this side as well? Or you only remain here? You know, so a woman and a youth, how do you distinguish? Can I benefit part of the 30 and also can I benefit part of the 15? So those clear guidance need to be put up, and we need to have a set fund for women. Another thing maybe that can go away with economic injustice is unpaid care and domestic work. Most women have no time to engage in productive work. They are so they're indoors doing those family chores. A good woman must have a clean home, take care of the husband, I don't know what. And then because of the societal norms, you're supposed to respect your husband, you're supposed to respect your home. I am not refusing that. But then that much work you do in the house, that domestic work, it is holding her back to participate in the productive work. Because if you spend about 12 hours running around the home doing ABC, then when will you get time to go to the market to have a stall aside? Because I think I've just now started connecting it to my mother used to tell me that for her, she doesn't like staying at home. She actually said, when I stay home, I get more tired than when I'm in my garden. And it is very true. You're waking up early in the morning, doing the laundry, then children here, then cooking, then at the end of the day, you're a wife. The whole day, you're so tired, and there is nothing in your hands, money, nowhere. So we need policies. Or, one of the activities apparently we are doing is to influence the culture policy and the national family policy to ensure that unpaid care and domestic work initiatives are put there, so as people understand what it is, how impactful it is to our development. And if we understand it, then we should be able to allocate more time to do productive work, and then less time to do unpaid care and domestic work. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I'll come to you, Nakato. When we see one of the challenges to women access to markets is lack of access to financial help. But the government has said, we have given you parish development model, we have given you Mayoga, we have given you youth livelihood fund, we have given you women web. How do we then ensure that these funds are benefiting women? Putting in mind the fact that the women have these challenges, and the environment that we are also operating in is patriarchal. How do we advise the government, the planners, the technocrats, that while you're planning for women, this and this is what you should put in for them?
Okay, thank you for that, moderator. First, I would appreciate government for the initiatives, the allocation of resources towards the parish development model, the 1.1 trillion, the 100 billion towards the Myoga still. In the speech, yeah, indeed, it is so detailed and it's so interesting to look at. They tell us that, yes, the Myoga, they are performing very well, and 46% women are benefiting from that initiative. But still, government is allocating money to Uganda Development Bank, where women will need to go for that loan from that bank. But the problem still, the challenge still comes in when women, we don't have collateral, we don't have the security that we are talking about. Land being that it is a factor of production, it is the major factor. But how many women, even us here, if I may just pose a question, do we have a piece of land that can allow you personally
Yes.
Your names.
allow you to go to the commercial bank and borrow a loan? And secondly, there is no way you are going to develop without a loan. You cannot base on the capital, the little saving, the Kameza money, for you to start up a business as it keeps up. And then government is talking about market access. How will a Kalere woman vendor, market vendor, compete with someone who is just receiving Kamenza money to go to the market of Kenya to sell the tomatoes there? And even is she aware that the information is there? The process of just getting the market or selling her products from Uganda to Kenya, has Ministry of Trade provided all the guidelines that this woman has to go through? But even before that, our products, the quality, it is totally missing. So going back to the issue of how government should at least encourage women to access, one, they need to tell us how the programs are going to work, how the programs are going to benefit. Before you give out money to a village woman, have you told her what she should invest in? Different regions have different issues. Climate change. You will not tell the a woman from Eastern region who is carrying out agriculture, say sweet potato, and you tell her the same thing to a woman in Northern Uganda, Karamoja, where they're not even cultivating anything. So I think practically we need to revise back and go back. If possible, we go region per region. How should we help women in these regions, Western region, for them at least, I'm sorry to say this, but it is well off. They
In
have
Western region?
Western, yeah, in Tungam.
My friend.
My friend.
My friend, it's like the people that say that Banyankole are okay, and then you find the Banyankole pushing the banana, down the Kahili. You saw those ones that were passing through the national park. Yes, it's just a theory that we have a few people up there, but when we get to the grassroots, people are not well. People are not well. So, and you bring in a very good factor that whereas regional balance of the different regions, because you see, like West Nile, they've been saying our electricity. So at least I can say that the electricity in the area might not be in the villages, but at least when you go to the trading center, a few 5 shops have compared to the other ones that don't have. Yes, and I'll come back to you, Helena.
Maybe before that, just in a conclusion, is that government needs to do a research before these initiatives to come up, and also the performance before you bring up another initiative to confuse people. Before one initiative gets to know, introducing another. So that we are not accessing financial help for the women. They scrapped off your web before people actually were willingly and getting interested to go for that program. It
They
was
brought in
combined.
yoga.
They brought in yoga.
Before yoga had
Parachute
come,
development module,
Yes.
which they cannot even, actually the hierarchy of just you receiving that money. It's not easy for an illiterate woman. We are not looking at women at the central level, those ones who are educated, but majority are illiterate. They don't know what to do. So they cannot be helped with our programs being combined with men.
Thank you so much, Nakato. I'll come to you, Helena. Do you believe, because you talked about the issue of regional balance, do you believe that the budgets and all the programs that government is going to do are addressing that issue of regional balance?
the unique needs of
the
sure.
women or the youth.
Regional balance, because she has talked about regional balance in terms of financing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So are we addressing that? Because you get to see that more revenue is collected from Kampala, but then the development of Kampala, it's also, you see the drainage
Yeah.
system, you see the roads. So does the budget or do these programs address regional balance in Uganda?
To my thinking, I do not think they really address.
Mm.
Yes, on the policy paper, they show they are addressing it.
Mm.
But what the policies entail is a different thing.
Mm.
Because at the end of the day, when we go back to evaluate what these initiatives or what these programs have been, how have performed, and their aim, their aim was creating regional balance within the people in the communities and the nation, and the nation, you will see that very many of the of the regions are being left out. You'll go to northern Uganda, you see Karamoja, a woman in Karamoja. Most of them cannot afford financial help. You go to Bugisu, some women are crying. They cannot access market. They cannot access financial help too. We look back to even women in the central. People have just a notion that women in the central are doing better, but women in the central are suffering, but silently. So what should government look around to address this issue of regional balance, and especially pointing at women? My colleagues have spoken about the initiatives that have been brought up about by the government, like the parish development model, the Miyoga, the UWEP, that from nowhere, and always aiming at creating financial stability, regional balance for all women. But unfortunately, that has not been attained. As my colleagues were talking, it came to my mind that even when we are speaking about these things of having initiatives, or having regional balance amongst women, amongst the societies or the communities we come from, it is important that we also put the men in the picture. We need to educate these men.
Who should educate them? Us, the women, or the government?
No, the government. There should be initiatives to educate these men. That government has come up with this particular initiative. It's pointing at the goals or objectives that are to help this particular type of women.
Women.
Yes. And bring the men on the round table. Recently,
Elena, aren't the men going to wake up and take women's money? Aren't we going back to that system where they come and start taking women's money from them even before they reach, because they know the amount you're going to get, they know how much government is going to give you. So aren't we also opening up those doors for that exploitation?
It would be possible, but we can do it in a secretive way. Yeah, we can come up with, you see, government can come up with these initiatives, but not openly tell the men that, we have allocated this circle 10 million. We can tell them, oh, we have allocated this particular money, some money to these women, and they are going to be monitored. And they put securities, like, if we see that this circle of women have not attained the goal it was supposed to attain, we are also going to call their husbands, sit them on the right. Yeah, it is important that the government really be very, very straightforward on these issues, because at the end of the day, if the government does not tighten up its seatbelt and says that these are things that we have come up with, initiatives or programs that we have come up with, and their aim is to help out women, and you men who you have for a very long time been seeing you beat women because they're not giving you their small money they have gotten. But if the government says this is how it's going to be, we can see examples when women report their men to securities and say, this man has beaten me because I did not give him
The money.
my money. You'll see that there is action taken and the man a bit cools down. Though, of course, society will condemn, but at least the man will get well-mannered. Will no, I cannot beat this woman because this is her money. She's entitled to it. So whatever decision she makes with it, I should respect it. So for us to have regional balance, and this regional balance should not only be on a market access, economic work, but also we should look at individuals in societies, to the elderly, the youth, even the children and the women.
Okay. You've talked about involvement of men, and I remember the story of a friend of mine that works in the bank. He went to arrest the woman for defaulting. And when he went to the chairman and said, Chairman, help me, I'm going to arrest this woman. Found it was the side chick of the chairman. And, he said, I want my money, both of you. I don't know what I'm going to do for the two of you. And, the chairman was pleading on behalf of the women. But you bring up a very critical issue of male involvement in women targeted programs. And I'll come to you, Joan. How best, because now we are on mindset change, how best can government involve men to support women access economic empowerment without them stealing women's money? You see, the reason as to why I would say it should start with awareness, because it all starts from insecurity. Men are becoming insecure. We have these theories of patriarchal education. I'm biased on our education, sorry to say, because you are now taught in school right away from P1 that your father is the head of the family. But we are in a society where we are witnessing women being heads of families. Yes. Where they're the ones paying school fees, they're the ones working. So men are becoming insecure because of the mindset problem that we have been told they're the heads of the family, they're the ones to provide. I mean, they should be on top of it all. So if they see government is giving this woman money, now where does that leave him as the head of the family? So they become insecure. He has parish development model. She's getting from UF, she's getting from parish development model, she has a cow from yoga, So they're becoming insecure. They're like, okay, am I still self-esteem issue?
No, it's contradicting.
It starts with the mind itself, because if you were told that it is okay for this woman to have money, then you would find it okay. But we have grown up in a society where the woman is the subordinate. She's the one to beg. She's the one to be given kameza money. Without it, she should sit and wait. So now, if she is empowered, she can go to the market and sell her goodies and come back with money. And she's not begging you to give school fees to the children. And she's paying the school fees. Yes. Now the man is insecure in his own home. And he will resort to violence.
Yeah, that's what I was
So if government sensitizes this person and is telling them it is okay, she can also be of help. For the education, that is a story for another day, because it will come into the syllabus, changing the syllabus and all that. Because he has been taught to be the head of the family, and he has been he has been nurtured in a way that he has even been given specific responsibilities. Something that my colleague mentioned, that unpaid care. We are being groomed to only cook and steam matoke from morning to evening, but yet we are in an economical, evolving world. After steaming matoke, then what? What happens after steaming matoke? When you have a drunkard of a husband who comes back 5 days later, they are not even aware that these children have been chased for school fees. And for you steaming matoke, we are no longer in that era. So we are in an era where women should be encouraged to work. But we can involve men and tell them it is okay for this woman to work.
She will work and she will still come back home. Men believe when she goes to the market, she's going to meet other men. So that is also another threat.
Yeah.
So he has to do everything to keep you home, to stop you, to limit your chances.
To leave you in that.
You have to stay in the dark.
Yeah.
We even have women who cannot, use smartphones.
Yeah.
Not because they cannot get them or they cannot afford them, but it is a problem at home.
Yeah.
She would rather be with those Mapesa phones because the husband is not secure. Her being on WhatsApp. I've even seen this with educated men. Educated men.
And they tend to run offices, government offices, like it's their home.
Now that is the problem. Those are the people in parliament who still have that kind of theory. I remember there is a time in parliament when a man stood on national TV and said that he can slap the wife on national TV. And you're in parliament where the laws
Are being passed.
of protecting these same people. You make the laws and you're the same people saying it is okay to beat your wife. And people are clapping for you. So we are not safe. So it will start with a mindset change.
Yeah. I'll come to you, Perth, in regards to that. And for me, I want us to focus on the fact that economic empowerment of women helps women have power, navigate power corridors, and be able to make decisions that are life-changing, like owning of property, ensuring that they have their property rights respected, ensuring that they can be able to be part of decision-making, like go for budget meetings, take their children to the schools that they wish that could be taken to school. But when we see that we have a community whereby the government is providing these funds, but we have a community of men that have this need to control because they've been nurtured in that way to be men, and say, if this woman is economically empowered, I will not be able to control her. How does then government come up, because we saw the budget, it's giving mindset change programs, and say, and change these minds of such men that you see when your wife gets government funding, you're not supposed to get that money and take it away from her. And the worst part about it is when these men take this money, they use it badly. And when the woman tries to, to go maybe to the chairman or to report, there is issues of, blackmail, there's beating them, there is sexual violence. And the worst case scenario is men mobilizing themselves and trying to silence this woman. As she said, how are we going to ask government to ensure mindset change for these men? Because they're giving money, but it's also causing an increase in GBV amongst, for the women. And then they have to also now bring money to counter GBV.
Okay, I'm just going to start with the examples. I was in Kasese, and one of the examples that we got from the participants is that women are economically empowered, but they don't have the agency. Here, I mean, you may have your money, but you have no right to use it the way you want it.
Yeah.
You have the money in your bank, you receive your salary every month, but your husband is the control of your ATM card. He has the pins, he can withdraw any money at any time of his choice. Another scenario, okay, women have no agency, but they're economically empowered. Another scenario is that women are getting empowered economically, like what you already said, and then men are so jealous. They're in return coming to beat the women. They are dropping all the responsibilities and leaving them to the women. Now that you have money, you pay school fees.
Do it all.
You look for food. So the little money she's getting, trust me, the little money she's getting, it's the same money running the home and paying school fees. You had already said it, that men's money is for maybe buying a plot of land where he will even not include her as.
Yeah.
Yes. So what can government do? One, I think we need to, the male model. Whatever intervention you do, whatever intervention you're doing with the communities, ensure you have men on board. For us on it, our however much it's a Uganda Women's Network, we have a ratio 70-30 women to men. We ensure that whichever engagement we have in the communities, we have men, because these women are not going to move without men. We need to have the role model males,
Male champion.
the male champions, exactly, who are going to carry out actually these awareness activities to change the mindset of the people, because these people do not understand best from us here. The Kampala people, hey, you have come to train us in English. They are not going to understand you, one. Two, they will even not respect you. They're going to listen more to their local person there.
No, they'll even actually say, it's a women agenda. You're pushing an agenda.
You're spoiling families.
Yes,
But if it's from a fellow man, then probably it's more understandable.
Yes. And then also maybe engaging these cultural institutions.
Yeah.
We need to engage them. We need to train them. We need to do awareness activities with them. So as we can even influence them to pronounce some of these negative social norms, that really affect women. Yeah, because I am so happy that government in their cultural policy, one of the activities they are going to do to implement that policy is to create awareness on unpaid care and domestic work within the cultural institutions. And then they'll be tasked to pronounce some of the negative cultural norms that promote this unpaid care and domestic work. Yes, so the only way to bring men on board is to let them engage in the activities themselves and let them do the awareness activities. They can do these activities like through church, through burial ceremonies, through parties. One word from an opinion leader in the village, it will catch fire and everybody will understand it. Other than us going and taking our banyos and
Thank you so much. And we are coming to a close. I want you in 1 second to give us, each one of you, a parting shot so that we leave the show. 1 second.
Oh, thank you. My 1 second, I would do plea to government to consider community mobilization and mindset change to be as a priority issue, just the same way they are capturing agriculture, industrialization, and call it to be just among the 5 key priority areas that they are focusing on, because we are really seeing that the changes, the budget allocations towards the government programs, yes, they are good, but they cannot do if the mindsets of the people are still the same.
Thank you so much, Omlongo Nakato. Helena.
A government should put more emphasis on the gender responsiveness of the budget that they lay out. That is my parting shot.
Joan.
Okay. I appeal to government to put emphasis on monitoring and evaluation. It has so many policies written down, but the problem comes in on who is implementing and who is evaluating if there has been impact. Instead, they're only bringing in more and more and more and more programs, even before the previous program has yielded results.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us today. And for the government of Uganda, we implore you for ensuring that we get into the next financial year a budget. We believe that the budget should be gender responsive, address the needs of the women, especially around access to financing, but also getting women out of economic injustice. Ensure that the women are getting value for their money, ensuring that the women's circles are very functional and they are investing, ensuring that women, when they have been able to access finances from government, the men are not taking it away from them and using it for their own agenda and not returning it. And ensuring that the property rights of women are emphasized so that they can be able to borrow and access bigger markets, especially for women that are exporters, that are importers, to be able to also to get into banks and borrow to invest in their businesses. But also ensuring that mindset change is critical and is given high priority to be on top of the agenda, so that it is half-half for women and men. Involvement of the women and the men together so that we can develop our country together. Lessen the debt burden for the women and also the taxes are too heavy on the women. I've been your host, Chetunga Rebecca Jena. Till next time. Bye.